I wanted to go ahead and record the end behavior video separate than the domain and range. That way it's easier to access and get to because it's going to be new for most of you. The only thing in behavior is people get bent out of shape about it a little bit, but the only thing that you're trying to determine is if the graph goes left, does it go up or down as it does that? And when the graph goes to the right, does it goes up or down when it does that? That's the end behavior. It's the end of the graph. Is it going up or is it going down? All there is to it. So you get it written in these little fancy ways, right? It says as x approaches negative infinity. So it says x arrow negative infinity. That means as x approaches negative infinity. In layman's terms, that means as the graph goes to the left. So all this right here is saying as the graph goes left. And it wants to know what else is doing. Is it going up or down? Y approaches negative infinity would be down. And you might want to write these down. X approaches negative infinity would be left. Y approaches negative infinity is down because Y is up and down, X is left to right. And then this part says as X approaches positive infinity, which means as X goes to the right, so the values go to the right. If the graph goes to the right, it says Y goes down. Again, it says Y approaches negative infinity. Well, we know that's not true. As the graph goes to the left, it's going up. As the graph goes to the right, it's going up. So let's find something down here that matches that. Let's see, as the graph goes left, it says Y goes up because Y approaches positive infinity, right? Up and down. Up is positive, down is negative. Left to right, left is negative, right is positive. So as the graph goes left, so as X approaches negative infinity, Y approaches positive infinity, it goes up. As X approaches positive infinity, meaning as it goes to the right, it says Y still goes up. Y approaches positive infinity. That's true. It goes up. So that's going to be my answer. I'm going to submit that. And that's correct. And it even tells you it goes right and up. That means this, right? It tells you you're going to the right and you're going up. So X approaches positive infinity, Y approaches positive infinity. X goes left and up. X approaches negative infinity, Y approaches positive infinity. So then your final answer, and it always does the X approaches negative infinity part first and then the negative, or X approaches positive infinity next. So it goes left and right, but on multiple choice you can't screw that up anyway. Let's go to a new problem. Now it says, you don't even have to really read all this stuff. But anyway, the graph of y equals f of x is graphed below. What is the end behavior of f of x? So now, if you're looking at this one, as the graph goes left, it's going down. As the graph goes right, it's going down. Little tidbit. All these x's, well, they flip-flopped it. Usually, almost always, you're going to see x approaches negative infinity first, and then x approaches positive infinity. But it doesn't matter. Okay, so the x's on this one doesn't matter as much to pay attention to because they're both going down. So you're just looking for the ones that says y equals negative infinity both times. So y approaches negative infinity. I mean, y approaches negative infinity. Y approaches negative infinity. That's my answer. I don't even have to look at anything else. Now I'm going to because I'm going to explain it to you. But what this is saying is as the graph goes right, so x approaches positive infinity, y approaches negative infinity, so y goes down as it goes right. X approaches negative infinity, meaning as the values go to the left, then y approaches negative infinity, which means it goes down. Anytime though that they're pointing the same way, I could have done it on the last one too, but I didn't want to tell you that yet. If they're both pointing down, then you just look for the ones that's got negative infinity and negative infinity. Because we're not writing it right now, we're just matching it. And if they go up on both of them, you're looking for y approaches positive infinity both times. So let's go ahead and submit this answer. Not a big deal, right? And it gives you the breakdown. So we're good to go. Like I said, I would write these down. Just have them for a cheat sheet. X approaches positive infinity means right. Y approaches negative infinity means down. Same thing here. X approaches negative infinity, that means left. Y approaches negative infinity, it still means down. And then up would be y approaches positive infinity. Let's go to a new problem. Again, they're both pointing up. I can quickly just go down here, y approaches positive infinity, y approaches positive infinity, click my answer, and submit. So I'm trying to get to one that's they go different ways. That way it's not so obvious. Hey, here we go. Now they're going different. Now I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. This one, as x approaches negative infinity, so as we go to the left, the graph's going up. So I need to see which one. And this time instead of y, it says f of x. F of x is y. It's the same thing. So I need to see one that says negative infinity for x and then positive infinity for f of x. So as x approaches negative infinity, f of x equals positive, or approaches positive infinity. As the graph goes left, the graph goes up as well. So that's the same thing. These two, it's got to be one of the last two. They both say the same thing. As the graph goes to the right, we're going down. So as we approach positive infinity, we need to also approach negative infinity on the f of x part. So positive infinity and the negative infinity. So this whole thing is saying, this is our answer. It's the third option, or what would be C. As the graph goes left, the graph goes up. As the graph goes right, the graph goes down. That's all there is to it. Submit my answer. Yes. Like I'm telling you, you can tell me by looking at it without any of this x approaches, y approaches stuff. I guarantee you can all look at me or look at the graph and say, okay, as it goes left, it goes up. As it goes right, it goes down. We're pretty smart. We can figure that out. If you write these little cheat sheets down, like I keep telling you to write these down, x approaches positive infinity means right, f of x approaches negative infinity means down. If you write all that stuff down, then it's just rewriting the language out. That's all it is. It's just plugging that in for left and right. Instead of saying left, you say x approaches negative infinity. Instead of saying right, you say x approaches positive infinity. Instead of saying up, you say y approaches positive infinity, or f of x equals positive, or approaches positive infinity. And if it's going down, y approaches negative infinity, or f of x approaches negative infinity. After that, it's just putting them all together.